That's half of what you just saw, okay? Now, very, very important, you don't want to start working the gluten up in this thing. All we're going to do is start putting this in the pasta machine and rolling it out, and that's what you're going to see next, okay? I have got to do a little scene change here, and so that's what you're getting ready to see, and we're going to get into some hand-cut noodles here. So you can see I've got my rolling flour over here off to one side. A little bit of glare there, huh? And then I'm getting ready to set up my pasta machine. Before I do that, I'm going to lay down a little towel here underneath the board, and that's just to kind of protect my countertop. I have to attach my pasta machine to a wooden board because I don't want to damage my stone countertops. And so I'm just bringing in a heavy wood board. And it's going to be hanging off the edge a little bit. And then I've got the, you know, standard Italian pasta machine. You guys have seen these, you know, Cost Plus, and you've seen them on the internet, and you've seen them on TV and things like that, okay? So I've got to have the holes towards me, and I'm going to clamp this onto this wooden cutting board because I just don't have a lip that's going to work on this granite countertop here. So very, very easy to attach. Let me kind of move that way. There we go. I think that's a little better. And I'm just clamping that baby on there. And then there is a handle that goes onto it too, okay? If you've never used one of these machines, they have two sets of rollers in here. And, oops, let me get that in there. Sorry, folks. And then they have an adjuster wheel right there. Not sure how well you can see that, okay? Let me kind of hide this recipe. I think everybody kind of got that. And I think you guys can see a little better now. So there's a little adjusting wheel right here on the side. And the lowest number on this particular machine is a 1. Sometimes they go down to 0, okay? And then I can turn this wheel, and the more I turn it, the further apart the little rollers inside move, okay? So here I am. I don't know if you guys can see that. I think you kind of can, but those rollers are moving around in there, okay? So the higher the number, the thicker it is on this one, and the lower the number, when I get all the way down to 0 or 1 on this one, it's the thinnest number here. I'm probably going to be rolling down to number 2 on this. I'll take a look at it and see what I think, okay? I mentioned this earlier, these words. You want to see light and shadow through the pasta. That's how thin I want that pasta to be, okay? So that's what I'm shooting for. Now I'm going to start my machine on the highest setting, number 7. That's going to move the rollers furthest apart. By the way, in commercial kitchens, sometimes we have ginormous machines that are this big, and they can roll pasta out for, 20 feet of pasta for like making breakfast danishes and pasta and stuff like that. Now, here's my dough. Very important. Don't start kneading this stuff once you pull it out. I made this yesterday so I would have some dough that is relaxed. And so it's just been resting, and you don't want to pull it out and start exercising it again. That would be bad, okay? So pull this stuff out. Come on, come on. Oh, goodness. There we go. I found the edge. That's the trickiest part, especially when you don't have fingernails and whatnot. So there's my dough, okay? Now, one trick here, it's always very tempting to just roll all this dough out, but I'm going to work with small pieces, okay? The longer piece that you have, especially if you're a newbie at this thing, the harder it is for you to work with this thing. So why get crazy with it? I'm going to just do half of that little guy, okay? I'm going to use my bench scraper as a cutter. And this other piece, I'm going to wrap it in plastic. I just got rid of my plastic. Let me bring that back. I usually save that. Very important, this pasta will dry out really quick, the surface of it, and you won't be able to work with it. So keep that stuff wrapped up. There's the other half. Now, remember I said kind of flatten your dough out a little bit, and I also kind of shaped this one in a rectangle. I want a rectangle, a long rectangle when I'm done with this pasta. And so once I start with a good rectangle shape, and that means I'm going to get a rectangle shape, hopefully, when I'm done. I've also got a few other tricks along the way. I'm going to throw a little flour down to work with. Trying to figure this out to where you guys can see everything. There you go. Back up a little bit. I think that's a little better. So there's a little flour, and I'm just going to dust with flour. I'm not trying to work a ton of flour in here, and I'm just going to flatten it. This is about as far into kneading as I want to go here. I so don't want to agitate this pasta, okay? And it's pretty rectangular. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it in there. That edge was a little bit sticky. So I've got it on the biggest setting, and I'm going to flatten this thing as much as I possibly can just with my hand. Now, it's still stretching back. I still have some gluten in there. It's still a little bit elastic. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of brush off excess, and I'm going to send it on through the machine. And I've got a pretty decent shape there, okay? But I've got these weird rounded edges. So one trick that I will do, and this is going to kind of build the gluten up again, is I do a 3-fold right now, okay? I'm going to fold over 1/3 because I got this elephant ear shape over here, and I'm going to fold over another 1/3. And now I've got these straight edges on the sides, and now I'm going to send it through again. It's still on number 7. I haven't changed the number, and that's just an initial 3-fold on this thing, only for shaping purposes. Now I'm going through again. And you can see I've got a pretty nice rectangle there, okay? It's a little wider on one end than it is on the other. Also, I just caught the edge slightly over there. I'll just kind of move it over a little bit. Everything is fine. Now, what I do is I've got a wide edge and a short edge. As I put it in again, when I go with this wide edge, it's going to widen the back end out as the pasta goes through. So this edge is going to catch up in width as we roll it through. Always feed in your widest end. Very important. Here we go again. Oh, I'm going to bring it down a notch to 6. And here we go. And I grab that pasta. And you can see as it went through, this is the end that just came out, and it's a little closer in size to that other end. I still think this end is a little wider, so I'm going to fit that in first, and I'm going to dust things with a little bit of flour. It's starting to feel just slightly tacky right now. And let's see. I'm feeding in the wide end first. Wide end first. Oh, my handle fell off. Come on, buddy. Don't drop it. Happens all the time. And it's going through again. And I've got a beautiful shape to work with right now. I'm pretty darn happy, okay? Looking at that, it looks beautiful. I'm glad I don't have a piece that's twice as long by now. I'm glad I cut that in half. I still have a very nice piece of pasta here. And I just took it down to number 4, and now I'm taking it down to number 3. We're almost there, and both ends, if I fold this pasta in half, both ends are the same width now. I got a perfect rectangle, except for that one funky edge, okay? All right, I'm down to 3, feeding in any end I feel like. Keep it away from the edges. Don't touch the sides. And that was number 3. This end is a little bit wider now, so I'll be feeding that in first next. I'm going down to number 2. This is where I was kind of feeling I might be stopping. I'm going to move a sheet pan over here in case I need it. I kind of don't have a big kitchen, so I just set up my stove with a sheet pan over here. It gives me more room. I'm also going to put a sheet pan in my sink area over here because you need a lot of table area to do this job, okay? All right, back to my dough. I've got it on number 2, and I'm going in wide end first. And here we go. I think this is going to be my last pass. Just a sec. Oh, just a sec, darn it. I just tore it a little bit. I just didn't like where I fed it in, so I'm just going to get rid of a little piece there. And let's try this again. I was just too close to the edge. Here we go. Over to the side, and we will receive the pasta. And there it is. Now, number 2 is usually on most machines. That's where my pasta feels good for a noodle. If I'm doing a ravioli, I want to go to number 1 because now I'm going to have like on the edges of the ravioli where it's doubled up. It's super thick, so I want that thinner pasta for number 1. So let me kind of fold that. I don't need the machine anymore. Well, no, let me roll out another one real quick. I'm going to throw down a little flour on my table. I think I'll put it over here. So a little flour down. And I'm just going to lay that piece of pasta down. And I'm going to cover that thing. Just so it's drying out a little bit less. And we'll cut that a little bit later. I think I'll go ahead and cut a second batch. I promised a plate of this carbonara to somebody up the street here. I hope they're still going to want it. Let's see, any new, oh, Gary Gainey's out there. Hey, chef. Hey, can you find semolina at any grocery store? Gosh, Mr. Gary Gainey, that is a great question. You must know all bets are off at this time, but most grocery stores do have that little specialty area that would have some semolina flour in normal times. The baked item, the baked goods, and all of those supplies, they're all pretty rare out there right now. But semolina is pretty common, and you're over by the pasta area and things like that, at least in my store. Okay, so I'm going with my second chunk of dough here, and I'm flattening it out before I go into the machine. I don't want a ton of flour on that. Whoops. I just got more flour on there. And I'm going to feed it on through. It's an oddball shape, but I'm going to kind of fix that in a minute. I got to get it a little bit thinner on here, and let me adjust. Go to number 7, and here we go. And there it is. It's got a little funky shape. It looks like a little Pac-Man, okay? So I'm going to do that 3-fold again. I'm going to put in one corner, fold in one corner, actually fold in the rounded corner, and then fold in that other corner on top. And now I'm going to send it through sideways like so, okay? Flatten that out, and we should solve all of those problems. A little more flour this time. Get the extra off. And here we go, sideways. And it's caught. This guy's a little on the wide side. The edges will be a little funky. And let's work a little flour in. Oh, let me adjust that. Sorry, folks. And I'm going to feed the wide end in first. I'm going to go in this way. And I've got a wide end again. I'm going to roll through on 6 now. Wide end first. I'll do this guy a little faster. Now I'm on 4, wide end first, or 5. I might skip 4 and go right to 3. It didn't want to do that. And wide end first. We're going faster. I still got a nice shape. And down to 2. And that's as far as we'll need to go. There she goes. And I got another finished piece of pasta. Tell you what, I want to work with that first one first. So I just got a little fresh flour on that guy. I'm throwing him on my board. Throwing a little more flour down over there. And here goes my second piece of pasta. Here's my first that I'm going to start working with. And as I'm doing my noodles, I kind of like the size that I have here, okay? I like that right there, but this is a double size. So for my fettuccine noodles, I'm going to be cutting them in half right there. And that's how long I want my noodles, okay? If you think about it, you don't want a noodle much longer than that anyway. That even right there is a little bit heavy. Now I'm going to get rid of this pasta dough. I'm done pasta machine, I should say. I'm going to get rid of this puppy because we're just going to do hand-cut noodles here. I always like to show you the most primitive thing I've got outside of this machine here. I didn't want to do most people don't use a rolling pin for their pasta these days. Okay, so I've got a beautiful piece of pasta dough here. It looks like a sheet you buy in a market, okay? I just got that one little edge there that I'm going to fix in a minute. So what I'm going to do now is do the hand cut on these guys, and I need a lot of flour on there for this. Also, let me prep a pan. These are for my finished noodles. Lots of flour down. Back to my pasta dough. I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to throw some flour on the top of that too. You can see what I'm doing here. I kind of don't want this stuff sticking to itself. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it from the folded side outward. And I want to keep the edges lined up. I'm going to get a knife, probably bigger than I need. Get a little flour on there. And remember that edge that I've been all upset about? It's a little rough there. I'm just going to get rid of that edge. Boom. You see, I didn't saw the thing. I just cut straight down. And then I'm going to cut across this, okay? So fettuccine, it's about that wide. I go straight across. Boo, 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 boo. And I cut my noodles. Another reason I do the hand-cut noodles, it's fun. It's a very satisfying feeling cutting into those noodles. Now, I want to make sure that I get them unraveled. So I take them over to my board or my pan, and I unravel them right now. Don't leave a bunch of those laying around rolled up. They'll start sticking to themselves. Beautiful hand-cut fettuccine. That little rolling trick gives you the straight edges. Folding it in half means you don't have to roll it quite so much, okay? So I'm going to just go ahead and make the rest of these noodles, and we'll be done for our morning class, okay? Stick around. Here we go. Let's do another. Here's the pasta sheet. This one's got a little funky end. Hey, big deal, you know, that's not a big thing. When I fold this pasta, let me do this way. You can kind of see this a little better. I want to align one edge of this thing. This other edge I'm going to trim because it's not aligned. Plenty of flour on both levels. I didn't flour this side because it's already got plenty. As I roll it, I keep that edge lined up because that's a good edge. I'm going to just kind of get rid of these. And by the way, I've got these pieces of pasta here. I can't reuse that stuff. It's not like pie dough and things like that. If I try and mash all this stuff together, it's just going to stay noodle. It's already noodle, and there's no way I'm going to unwork that or work it into something else, right? Oftentimes, you'll hear people talking about overworking dough. I was working my dough like crazy in the beginning, but once you get to this stage, that dough's been overrun, run through the machine, and worked earlier and everything. You just can't work that stuff together into anything. So that's all kind of history. Back to my little noodles. Let's go ahead and cut these guys. By the way, if I wanted pappardelle, I love those wide noodles. This is how I usually, when I'm making pasta, that's how big I like. But I think the carbonara is more traditionally a fettuccine or really a spaghetti in my experience. Back over to my finished noodles here. I got to unwrap them every time. And if I stack some of this on top of the other, I've got to go ahead and throw another layer of flour down. Just don't want things sticking. I'm just going to let these noodles dry during the day. And we'll be seeing them again tonight. Those are a nice length, by the way, for the plate. Here's my pasta. I'm going to cut in half. There you are. So I've got the half marked. And we'll get this cut up. You guys saw all this before. Plenty of flour on this one. Align one side, roll. La, 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 la. I always got the disco in my head. Disco Inferno. Burn, baby, burn him. Burn that mother down. Okay, that one's done. Laying these guys out. Bring you guys on over. And there we are. There we are. Okay. Tonight's going to be good. I'm very excited about this carbonara tonight. Duck eggs. Again, very, very rich and fatty. It's going to be a super rich pasta carbonara. If you guys want to play along, let me put the ingredients for that carbonara up while I cut this last sheet. That's an idea. Let me do that. Oh, come on now. Come on now. Carbonara. And there's my ingredients. A pound of cooked pasta, 8 ounces of bacon, 2 eggs, and a bunch of Parmesan, as much as you can get your hands on. Now, they're talking about Parmigiano Reggiano. I should caution you on this carbonara. If you buy a lesser Parmesan, one of those like pre-shred types or whatever, it doesn't melt very well, okay? And so I'm going to throw a little extra flour down here. So you'll see later on, I purchased a real chunk of Parmesan, a Reggiano, the real stuff, and I'm going to be shredding that stuff super fine because it's going to just melt into the warmth of this pasta and create a sauce with the egg partially cooked. It's an extremely rich, and it's just known to be naughty and rich and delicious and decadent, okay? And that's what you're going to be seeing tonight, okay? Peppery, it's got the bacon in there. That Mule-Foot hog is going to be, I said it right this time, that Mule-Foot hog is just going to be, it's a very unique flavor in there, okay? It's a farm-raised animal. It tastes like, you know, if anybody grew up on a farm, you know what I'm talking about, okay? It's nothing like what we see, what we get in the stores. Outstanding stuff. With the duck eggs, it's just going to be insane. I love what I'm doing during quarantine. I hate saying it. Plenty of flour. Let me roll this up. I'm going to keep this side aligned. This is kind of an oddball piece. And I'm just going to take that nub off, that elephant ear. Bye-bye. And here's my last fat. I did one that was a little narrow, and I don't like those end pieces. So that's gone. And we'll lay the rest of this out. And I'm getting just a little bit on top of others, but I don't think it's going to be too big of a disaster. I don't see any of this stuff sticking or anything like that. I've got a good, no, I got a weird noodle there. I don't know. I suppose during quarantine, that's worth keeping. See that end? That's worth keeping. And last couple pieces. And that is your fresh cut fettuccine noodles made with duck eggs. I used all-purpose flour today. I can go ahead and throw that up again. I'm going to start cleaning up while you watch, right? This is why we call it a bench scraper, okay? This tool right here, again, if you're working on a wood bench, you don't want those things bent, okay? So you will want to take care of that bench scraper. And I just clean all that up and throw it right away, and I'm all good to go. Our wooden tools, we don't like to get them wet. So I just keep this guy for my pastry work. All right. I'm going to move this on out of the way. And, well, gosh, ladies and gentlemen, that was my pasta class. Throw that over there. Beautiful fettuccine noodles. Let's zoom in on those guys. Okay, everything went great. Let's take another look at the dough that I made today. Okay, it's been resting. To be quite honest, you know, resting about 20, 30 minutes is enough to start working on this stuff. It's still feeling a little soft. I might have to use a lot more flour working this one through my pasta machine later than I did today. Coming tonight, as you can see, again, any pasta will do. Okay, I made a fresh pasta, but you can just use any pasta that you have, or you can. There are a lot of fresh pasta products you can go out and buy if you want to kind of experience that nice bite that you get from that. It's very different and unique. And again, Amy Grabish is offering duck eggs, and for a limited time only, duck eggs, Mule-Foot bacon. You can contact her through the Pip Wine Shop's website. There's a page on there where she's selling a package together with a bottle of wine of your choice. She's got several wines that you can pick for that, and at a very reasonable cost for what she's doing. Okay, it's a great way to support our local food system, right? She's a small farmer that's raising these products that you'll never see anywhere else. Okay, so do check her out. I don't think I have any new comments out there. I did see a few. That is a plus. Okay, seeing that, and so we will see everybody at 4 o'clock tonight. I'm pretty fired up about not just eating this stuff tonight, but just putting the whole thing together for you. Okay, it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait. Okay, so 4 o'clock, we will see you there. Take care, guys. Bye bye. And there it goes. Disco Inferno.